I'm handing you now over to Paul Roebuck of Middlemarch. And yeah, I pronounced that correctly. These ones should do it. And that's ready to go, yeah. Should do it.
Hello everyone. Make sure I come up at the right time this time instead of coming up a bit early. I'm Paul Roebuck. I work at Middlemarch. I'm the Southeast Manager. We're an ecological consultancy. And I did my Masters at UCL back in 2004, 2005. It was actually called Freshwater and Coastal Sciences then. And that's quite some time ago. I mean, time's gone really fast, but I think that's sort of 18 years. It's really nice to be here today, and I'm honoured to have been invited by Carl to do this talk. So at the time, I was a graduate from Brighton University with a geography degree, 24 years old. I was living in London, and I was interested in sort of taking it a step further and studying a master's, focusing in a subject related to the environment. And I had in my degree at Brighton, I did my dissertation was on flooding in the town of Lewes, and so I just that's where the sort of drive to do this course came from. So the Freshwater Coastal Sciences Masters was shared with some conservation modules at the time, and just to put it into a bit of context, it was around the time when there was the London bombings and Hurricane Katrina, and London won the Olympic bid. So what do I remember? There were great teachers, and these pictures are readily available on UCL website, so they're not from Facebook or anything like that. So sorry, Carl, Peter, and Helen, but these guys are part of the teachers which I remember, and were fantastic at the time. So what else do I remember? I did a dissertation. My dissertation was called, it was a paleo-ecological assessment of 10 Welsh upland lakes. And that was Helen Bennion, who was helping sort of steer that dissertation. And we looked at diatoms and whether they were acidophilous or alkaliphilous. So we went to Welsh upland lakes and collected samples and did some field work with, I don't know if they're here today, but I think it was Ewan Shilland and Ben Goldsmith, who I remember well, and I remember Ben storming off into the field, full steam ahead, into the fog, and I was sort of scrabbling behind him, trying not to get lost. But all of the teaching was excellent, and it was all helped make it a great experience. So, and there was a real mix of sort of field work, class learning, practical skills, scientific reporting, and it was a good time. So. And what have I done since then? So I started my career, I worked at Thames Estuary Partnership. Well, I started by volunteering. So I volunteered at the Thames Estuary Partnership. They were actually based in UCL at the time. And they were a charity, and we did a wide range of things, but one thing that stuck out was it was a survey of piers along the Thames, and we had to assess it for their ecological value and their sort of commercial value. And it was a fantastic job at the time, because you just went cruising down the Thames on a rib boat, which was a lot of fun. I also did some volunteering at the London Wetlands Centre. And then after that, I sort of started a career in ecological consultancy. And that started at a company called Environmental Perspectives. And there I was doing sort of quite a bit of water-related stuff, but also began going out and doing terrestrial ecology surveys as well as aquatic ecology surveys, and sort of managing surveys, sub-consultants doing surveys as well. And really that's sort of developed a career in ecological consultancy, and I worked at a company called the Ecology Consultancy, not a massively original name, but that was the name. And that led on, I did some work for major infrastructure projects and worked for them related to HS2. And then I've since moved, and I've been at Middlemarch Environmental for the last, I think it's coming on 9 years. So, and now I'm the Southeast Manager there. I should say, Middlemarch Environmental, I should explain a bit about their sort of connection to the Wildlife Trust. So consultancy arm for the Warwickshire Wildlife Trust, but we actually work nationwide, and a lot of our income and the profit we make actually goes back into funding for the wildlife trusts, in particular in the Warwickshire area. So a lot of it's for the benefit of wildlife. So what do we do though anyway? So as an ecological consultant, what does that involve? Well, there's a lot of sort of management and organising of surveys. A lot of it relates to the construction and development industry and sort of planning applications for new development. It's underpinned by sort of UK legislation and planning policy. And we go out and we do lots of surveys for protected species and things like bats and newts and reptiles, but also, well, it's an enormous range of things really, sort of habitats surveys, aquatic surveys, river corridor surveys. It's very wide-ranging. And then alongside surveys we do mitigation management enhancement plans, and increasingly we're doing a lot more sort of habitat management, habitat creation, working with new policies relating to implementing biodiversity net gain. And all of this is on sort of, can be sort of small scale projects at sort of householder level, but also sort of nationwide infrastructure projects as well. So how did the Masters help? So, well, all of the below really. It certainly sort of underpinned a good scientific understanding, which you need to work in the industry. Obviously all of those things, data management, and understanding policy, field work, species identification, data analysis, report writing, planning and organisation, and then a really important one at the bottom there is sort of future support and careers. At Middlemarch, there's myself who's sort of come through studying at UCL, but having that connection with the university and Carl and the team here means that we also sort of employ a number of other people who studied here. So Harry Stone is here today, Zaina Farhat, Will Oliver worked with us for a bit, Paige Eek Goodwin, who's here today, I think we're talking to about potentially working with us. Have I missed anyone? Maybe Beth Stacey as well. So some of those names will be familiar to you guys here, and it just shows that a good connection with the university